Call of Duty is one of my favorite games to play right now. Granted, I only play it like once a week because there's only so many times that I can take being killed by an RNG car explosion on the border crossing map. But nevertheless, when I launch the game, I'm almost always in for a good time. And that's really the story with all of the recent Call of Duty games. Just fun FPS titles that you can boot up occasionally to get a dose of that classic fast-paced action that we're so used to. I wouldn't say it's the same as it used to be, where I felt the need to grind the game all day long, but the game is there when I need it to be. However, that doesn't mean that there still aren't loyal Call of Duty fans that play the game day in and day out, who enjoy everything that the game has to offer. I don't know how they do it, but you know, they exist. Specifically, the Warzone 2 community is full of these dedicated players. If you don't know, Warzone is Call of Duty's lucrative take on the Battle Royale game mode, because if your favorite modern multiplayer game doesn't have a Battle Royale mode these days, well, then they're just going against societal norms. In this latest rendition of Warzone, Infinity Ward made new changes to the game, including adding a new game mode called DMZ. Now DMZ, I barely know shit about, I gotta be honest. I've had this game since early access, and I've only started this mode once before immediately leaving the game when I loaded into no action. I already told you guys what I played this game for. But apparently this DMZ is a survival mode where you have to outlast players and AI, gather loot, and make it to the extraction point without dying. The loot that you find while playing is carried in between each game of DMZ as long as you don't die, because if you do, then you lose it. So it's basically like a more hardcore version of the Warzone mode minus, you know, the last man standing aspect. And as you can imagine, the people that play the game mode religiously have accumulated tons of gear since the game's release in October, making the progress that they have in the game mode very important to them. However, fans were in uproar recently as the dev team behind Call of Duty announced a new change heading into the next major update in the game that will leave any loyal DMZ player distraught. In the Season 2 update blog post, Infinity Ward announces that going into the new season will be a clean reset of your player's inventory within the DMZ mode, meaning that players with the previously mentioned months of accumulated loot and weapons will have everything stripped from them going into the next update, which is just wild. Now I can understand why Infinity Ward is doing this, as they want to make the game mode fresh and new for the next season, which would be cool. But prior to this, it was never made public that the game would ever be subject to a reset. So, you know, the players didn't even get a heads up as to the fact that their inventory would be cleared. So you can imagine that players of the game are upset due to feeling that their long hours of hard work has been for nothing, and how betrayed they feel for being left out of the loop on this decision. And I think that this is just bad. But I gotta say, looking from the outside in right now, I am relieved. I feel like I dodged a bullet. Could you imagine how I'd come on here if I was a loyal DMZ player? My demeanor would be a whole lot different right now, bro. So, unfortunately, once again, Call of Duty is in the forefront of bad decisions, which isn't anything new, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that this is still upsetting. However, I think what fans of the game can take from this is the fact that it's safe to bet that the DMZ mode will be cleared in each major update, which is, you know, better to know now than never, I guess. So hopefully, DMZ players can take this loss lightly and still find a way to enjoy the game, because while this news is disheartening, there's no doubt that there's still some worth in playing Call of Duty. So what do you guys think about this DMZ mode, man? Feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, leave a like on the video, subscribe, and I'm gonna see y'all.